Hey, it's Kevin Twitch here. Welcome back to the Mixing and Home Music Studio course. In this video, we're going to talk about buses. So firstly, if you're new to my channel and new to my videos and you like what you see, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future video. So buses, this is not buses we're talking about that drive around in the streets. These are basically another set of tracks in our software. Sometimes they're referred to as buses, sometimes they could even be group tracks or something like that, depending on what software you use. And what we can use them for is generally to group or bus other tracks into it. So I'll use them at multiple levels, right? So let's start from the very output here, right? We generally will have something which you might call the mix bus. A lot of people call it that. It could be the output bus, it could be something else. And it's a location that all of our tracks, everything, our effects tracks, our audio tracks, other buses, everything, all funnels together to come out this one mix bus and then out to your studio monitors or out to your headphones. It's the location that we bounce out our song from, right? This is the last point of exit, basically. So that's one bus, right? And that is the biggest bus of all, okay? So it's just a track. It technically doesn't have any audio on it, right? There's no audio tracks on it. It just receives all of the other tracks, mixes them all together, blends them all together into this one track to output. And you can put processing on that, right? So it has inserts, it has sends even, it has basically all the similar features that you have for every other track, but this one is affecting everything that's going through it now. So whereas say a drum track, you will be putting plugins and an insert to affect that drum. If you put a plugin on the mix bus, it will affect every track that goes through this mix bus, which could be your entire song. That's why it's a location that is a very powerful location of changes, right? It's a location that you can make or break your song, right? You could totally destroy it by doing the wrong thing on that track, because you are impacting every single track in your song. Again, assuming you send everything there. You can turn the fader up and down, you can pan, you can do all of that sort of stuff, right? So, you know, we'll show you that in the software in a minute. Other buses can be for different other features, right? I like to run multiple buses, right? So the next step down from that, I would have buses for all of my instrument groups. I may have an effects bus, right? For all my effects. So all my effects tracks will funnel through this effects bus. I will have a bus for, say, guitars. So all my guitar tracks will funnel through to this guitar track. Those buses will then all feed into the mix bus, right? So I've got multiple levels of buses. The reason for it can be processing. It can be just to keep a good structure. It can be so that I can quickly and easily mute all of the guitars. It can be so I can quickly and easily change the volume of all the guitars in their comparative level, right? Their reference level. So all the guitars have various levels on each of the tracks, and we want to change the overall volume of the guitars, but not adjust each one of those individual elements. We can adjust the volume on the guitar bus. We can put processing on that guitar bus. You know, we may have a drum bus, we may have a vocal bus, all that sort of stuff. And it all depends on your workflow and how you work. But that's what a bus is, right? A bus is just another track that you generally funnel various other tracks into to, you know, bus them in, or as I said, some software will call them groups. So you are grouping the tracks together and having a single output of those particular tracks. So let's get into Cubase Pro now, and I'll show you a couple of examples of buses and how I use them, and how you may want to use them in your mixes. Okay, so here we are in Cubase, and you can see I've already got a project up here that has some buses. And this is sort of what I'm talking about, a structure that I like to do, right? So, for instance, here we have drum bus, bass bus, guitar bus, key bus, aux bus, and effects bus. Now, you can see the routing. If I scroll across, you'll see the drums. Okay, they're all outputting to the drum bus. So each one of these individual drums is going to the drum bus. Okay, and then you got the bass that's going to the bass bus, and guitars, guitar bus, so on and so on. And then when we look at these individual instrument buses, drum bus, bass bus, guitar bus, we've then got that routing to a mix bus. So all these are then going to this single bus here, which is then outputting to our studio monitors. Now what that allows us to do is not only can we sort of solo individual instruments, we can mute them, whatever. We can also change the levels of them as a whole group. And then we can put processing, so we can run, some sort of plugin that's doing compression, EQ, whatever, on that bus. Right, so as a bit of an example, let's break this a little bit. Okay. So if I wanted to, well, actually, no, we won't break that. What we'll do is I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to create, say, 5 new tracks, right? Don't really care what they are. We'll just go mono, and I'll just leave them output to the main thing, right? So they'll get chucked down here. Oh, I would have liked them down the bottom just for obvious sake. So we've got 5 new tracks. Okay, so if I want to add a bus in Cubase, we can do it a couple of ways. Now, one is they call it a group. All right, so we could add a group, and let's say it's going to be stereo, and that'll add a group there. Okay, so I call it a bus, they call it a group, same sort of thing. Okay, now I find the easiest way to allocate would be to go into our mix window. I could then grab all of these. I can then alt click, or which is Q link, and I can pick group 10 from there, and they're all assigned to group 10. All right, so now these will all get output to this group, and it's pretty easy. Okay, so if I just go solo, you'll see how it has automatically soloed these tracks, and everything else is muted. And we can change the volume, we can do whatever we want. So imagine there's audio on these tracks. Now the other way to do it would be so if we, I meant to select those. Let's put these back to the way they started off as a focal thing. And I do find that frustrating that you can do certain features from the mix window that you can't do from the project window. You can do certain things from the project window you can't do from the mix window. I'm going to delete that group now. Now, if I was to select all of these, what I would like to do is there a quick way to just have them all grouped together? And there is, but unfortunately, you can't do it from there. In the mix window, what you can do is select all of these tracks and right click and go add a group channel to selected channels. You can pick the output of that group channel. You can say whether it's inside, outside folder, and you can give it a name. So I'm not going to give it a name right now. We'll just put it, and it's automatically go on group 10. and it's automatically routed those out group 10. So that's how you could set this up for your drums or anything else. So if you had your drum tracks, you could pick them all, right click, add to a group channel, give it a name, drum bus, and bang, you're done. So that's how you do that. Now let's get rid of all of those, because I just wanted to put them there to show you how to actually add the bus channels and set them up. Let's have a look at actually using them now, which is what we've got here. So as I said, right, so we've got a whole song here that will play. We will turn the mix bus down. So, all right, so straight away you can see I have a mix bus here. We can turn it down. So this is adjusting our entire mix, because I'm feeding every single one of these buses into this mix bus. I can put something like this, a meter, a reference tool, on that mix bus so that I can have it working across the entire song. I can also do processing. So let's say we're not happy with how this sounds. I want it to be a lot brighter. I can brighten the entire song up. I can dull the entire song. I can add more bass to it. Reduce the bass, whatever you want to do. Add more compression. Right, so this one here, adding a compressor here, I've got a brick wall limiter. I've got a master, like basically a meter here, so I can see how loud it is. This is showing me and affecting the entire song, because everything is feeding through this last mix bus. And as I said, as I demonstrated, you can change the entire sound of the song, right? Not the individual instruments, but the entire thing. And having a compressor here glues all those instruments together as well. So it can be good for that. So if I was to, let's say I turn this off. So this is just the compressor. So it sort of gives it more oomph, gels it all together, brings it all together nicely, makes it sound a bit more professional sounding. Now, the individual instrument ones here. So I can instantly solo all the drums. I can take them away. I can say, okay, I've got my balance of my drums. Okay, I like the differentiation between the kick and the snare and the cymbals. They're all great. But the drums themselves as an overall package is, say, too loud for the song. Well, now that I've got them in a group, I can change the level of the entire drums without impacting the balance of all the individual parts of the drum. You might say, no, I want the drums louder. Bring it up, bring it up. I can do that. Okay, so you got that option. Again, I can put processing on here. So we can do something that impacts the drums alone and create some impact, right? So I could mute all of these. This is what the drums sound like. Now keep in mind, I've also got processing on each of the individual drums themselves, right? But here, I'm just putting some overall processing on the entire drum kit. So in this case here, we've got a bit of a sort of preamp type thing with a bit of analog drive. So we'll just get the drums going, turn it up a bit. Right, so we add a little bit of analog drive. bit of saturation, then we add a bit of compressor to glue the drums together, just tuck them in. Add a bit of oomph to them as well. And then what do we got? Got a bit of a saturation thing here. Adds a little bit extra, and we got a bit of a meter here just so we can see what's going on. We can, you know, change certain things or whatever we want. So that's how I use buses, and that's how I set them up in my mix. So that's pretty much it. So there you go, that is buses in Cubase. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you do have any questions about the concept, the buses, about your software, anything like that, if something wasn't very clear or I didn't explain something properly or I forgot something, feel free to let me know in the comments. I will read all the comments and I'll answer as many as I can as quickly as I can. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of my future videos. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.